My first piece, I'm going to share screen. This is a lovely little thing called Walkington the Plankton. Walkington the Plankington, phytoplankton, zooplankton, God, what a total mess. That's how it is in the great big ocean. It boils down to drifting, flipping this. There are the oceans, there are the tides, and who'd imagine in all that madness these tiny creatures with such sparkling features drift and lift and spin along for their spectacular e-ticket ride. They are the foundation of the nation, these little microscopic fellows. Some are green, some are yellow, transparent like some, quite nutritious, a little suspicious under special conditions, watery, spotty jello, and the very name proclaims their ultimate lack of power. Their great big name belies their fame. Plankton is Greek for drifter or wanderer. Grifter, simply adrift on the shifting lift of tides and currents transport their tiny spiny blurts. As wind and wave give what they gave with no more freedom than they were locked in a cave, they live their lives with their forks and their knives, feasting, yeasting, sun balanced, bleaching, rising, sinking, almost without thinking. Feast for whales and snails that prevail across the seas in rivers and bays, in gulfs and gullies, shining and reclining in 10,000 little bellies. Accosted by heat, swirled like eggs that get beat, but their presence and residence is crucial to the tiniest fish. And if whales got their wish, they'd continue to flourish so whales might be nourished. The tiniest, spiniest catch of the sea, but with chemical waste, the climate change race, they're endangered like never before. More worries than a somnambulant, irascible mushroom spore. Let's please be sure they don't walk through extinction's ugly door. Since many zooplankton species eat phytoplankton, you can just picture the empty inner sanctum bereft of their maddling, paddling way long into the evenings after a busy, sizzling day, only to find their phytoplankton gardens have been looted when some oil slick polluted, and now all glopped and slopped and suited. Find the salad bar closer, they turn up their nanoscopic nose and in longhand their eloquent epitaph compose. No more feeding those gigantic fish, although hardly sardinely their wish, while they was and chased the slime away. What can you say, as we had our data, and yet we've almost chased them away. Finny? And next, for your amusement and perhaps a little confusement, I'm going to turn to the theme of personal and particular. Here we go. This is called a culinary criticism. You may catch the reference, perhaps. A critique of reason is, at time and season, a well-told story that churns and burns and causes worry. We've eventually, penitentially learned its own special, impactful, refractal glory. And when rebuffed by facts, the confused, synthetic, pathetic tactic he backs, bruised the ungrateful, debasing replacement theory with its myopic topic clearly implied, toasting and boasting. Here's Munyeri, the replacement Pence who advanced outside and beyond reality's fence, contends that truth has no meaning, his roof has no ceiling. In his wilding, careering, scenario screening, it's just obscening, telling and selling a new yarn that yet may, as a matter of fact, spin off some regrettable harm. No use sounding an alarm. Our spokesman, Misdirection, has a predilection for scurrious, superfluous mangling and jangling of facts. Hey, it's just TV, relax. But it's useful to stir a meaningless, careeringless distress, a mess it brings and swings a veritable mob of slobs to our cause. And what would it matter if we splatter a rude and arrogant twaddle? And it's for the cause. In the 33rd clause, yeah, some bombing and shooting and little casual incidental fragments of looting. But as long as we're recruiting to our noble, ruble-powered cause, elect the wreck. Misleading reporters is a part of the job, as long as it motivates the gyrating mob to fill our coffers and offers to rile endorphins to ginormous electoral proportions. Goodness galore. Give me more if just a little more hate is our propellant. That's great. We buy it by the instigator freighter. It fulfills our Russian obligatory displacery bills. So they say we eat cats. What about it? Could be true. Who's that? You said it. Oh, yeah? Well, says you. And then last, another one that is both the particular and the social. And this is for those people who are convinced that unless you worship their way, there's a problem. This is called religion, plain or peanut. How some religionists have come to this, insisting on their style of worship with a fist, enforcing virtue with the sword, seems to belie the sacred word that God is love, is often said, but enforced and tortured, beaten in on someone's head. Maybe somehow you can tease it out and follow this most curious, colorific thread. We've some talk of God's free will, and yet some would enforce, coerce, indoctrinate at the point of a shaking snake. It seems they'd rely on God's good power in a month or a year, that it might flower. Others adhere to a belief that you should pray somewhere or other, or else you're in for grief. They believe their cause is just, and therefore, just like them, you must offer prayer as they, or vastly nasty harm shall come to you as they interpret Scripture any other day. That just won't do. They, it seems, have a jealous, zealous God who has his own quite special way. If you want the nod, he's got a rod. Confines designed, it seems, so that you should fold your hands just so, or off to Hades you must go. And any other prayer, it seems, unsettled them and mars their dreams. God's enforcers they would be, and if you disagree, you may find yourself nailed to a tree. They did this once or so, I'm told. 10 million statues molded, golded, gilded, golden sold. You may find their little statuettes often round their necks with no regrets. Oh, what the heck. They commemorate, or so it seemed, the awful, lawful outcome of his plans and schemes to buy freedom for your soul. I don't know if this torture is necessary. I'm not so sure. Let's go ask Larry. Is this repeated and painful refrain quite necessary? It's under control, and yet transcends our friends. It's all quite droll. I'm not sure, just the way with all the shrieks and screams this fellow rolls, they'd like to enshrine this God's finest hour, like when he succumbed to prejudicial Roman state power. But it's okay. He's later thrown above, because after the laughter and the refrain of painful disaster, it's all just love above.